Hi there. I am back this week to continue my discussion with you about bathroom remodels. I've looked at how you lay out a bathroom remodel. We've looked at purchasing a vanity and purchasing lights to go above your vanity, the selections that are involved in all that. And I will put links to those in my blog post. This week, I'm going to start the discussion on plumbing fixtures. I feel like it's going to be a really long discussion, so I'll probably have to break it up into 2 weeks, but I'm going to start out by talking about vanity faucets and about shower faucets. Then from there, next week maybe I'll do tub faucets. I just want to talk about faucets and toilets. Toilets is actually really long. When I started laying out my outline for this blog, I couldn't believe how much information there was on toilets. So it may rate its own. I'm not sure. But at any rate, I'm going to, again, take you to 3 of the bathrooms in my home because I have 3 different faucets in my vanity. And I want to show you the differences between them and why I chose them. So just so that you'll have that knowledge so that when you go to pick out a faucet, you'll be making the best decision that you can. Before I start, there are 4 things that I want to cover with you. Let me scroll up on my document. The first thing is that when you go to buy your faucets for your bath remodel, I always advise people to use their local plumbing supply house. The people that work there are 100 times more knowledgeable. If you run into any problems down the road, they can help you sort it out. They just have access to a lot more information, and often, very often, the quality of the products that come from a plumbing supply house are better than what you will get at a big box store and possibly even online. The thing is, you have to know what you're really looking for. And I even know, I have a checklist of things that I look for. Like I know I want a metal pop-up drain. And sometimes if I try to order something online, don't take my own advice and try to order something online, I'll invariably get something that's got a plastic pop-up drain. And that's just not okay with me. I don't want that. So go to your local supply house. That being said, the other thing that I want to say is buy early. Once you have started demoing and putting your bathroom back together, that is not the time to pick things out and to try to purchase them. It really puts you behind the 8 ball. I think that before you ever start demo, you need to have everything like this picked out and purchased. And if it's not at your house waiting to go in, it needs to be on its way to you. And you need to know that it's going to be to you before you need it. I have a way that I store things, typically always in the garage when we're working on a remodel, assuming there is a garage. The things that I'm going to need last go in the back, and I kind of stack them forward. The things that I need first are going to be in the very front. And one of the first things I'm going to need on a bathroom remodel is my faucets. Not because I'm going to install them, but because I need to show them to the plumber to make sure that we have all the right things. He needs to fully understand what the finished product's going to look like so that when he's roughing it in, and roughing in is lingo for what goes on behind the walls and behind the tile, stuff that can't be changed once it's done, not without causing a lot of trouble and time delays and costing money. He needs to have a real clear picture of what all that's going to be. So I keep those faucets up front so that I can show them to him when he's there. Another thing is when you go to the supply house, it's a very good idea to have a rough idea of what you want to spend on your fixtures. And if you share that with your salesperson right up front, they will help you stay in that budget, and they can make good advice to you on how to stay in that budget. If you had to figure that out on your own, even for me, sometimes it's almost overwhelming. Like sometimes I'll get on the Delta's website, and Delta has a good website there. If you go in the left-hand column, it's deltafaucet.com. They have a lot of ways that you can sort through all your search and everything, but it's just overwhelming. The people at the plumbing supply house know what they are doing. Use them, let them help you. Tell them your budget and get them to help you stay within it. And then if you can't take everything with you that day that you're going to purchase, find out what the lead time is. Make sure that it's not going to be something that's going to come in way late and mess you up. So that is my advice for going shopping. So now I'm going to dive into the actual faucets. So I'm going to take you to my bathroom and talk to you about the faucet that I have there. Okay, here I am in my bathroom. Let me get over to the side a little bit so you can see this faucet better. This is by Delta, and it is their Dryden, and it is in chrome. A few things about this faucet. First of all, it is what is called a widespread. So the distance from the center of this to the center of this should be 8 inches. I really like these because they're so much easier to clean. You've got room to get around them. When you get the other option, which is a 4-inch spread, that means there's 4 inches between this and this. They're really, really tight. And I'll put a picture of this in the blog. I don't have one in my house. They're really tight. And to get your finger in between the handle and the spout to clean is near, some of them you can't do it. You have to just like pull the cloth through. I personally really like the chrome faucets. They have been around forever. I think they're classy and shiny. I don't get the stainless steel ones. Like, I don't like that look. I know a lot of people get them and they look fine in their houses, but for me personally, I'm like, why would I go with the dull stainless steel look if I can have one that's shiny? So I do get a lot, oh, I don't want those, they're hard to take care of. Literally, people, they're not. The Delta faucets have a really great finish on them. I rarely ever have a problem with them. But when I finish cleaning or finish getting ready, the last thing that I do is I take my towel and I just go over my faucet like this, and it shines it all up. And that is all I do to take care of my faucet, other than, you know, like a weekly cleaning. So another neat thing about this, I'm gonna move my camera and put it up overhead. See how these are not in a straight line? I did this small oval sink in my vanity, which is a whole nother story, but I didn't want my handles to be in a straight line. So because I did this widespread, it gave me a little latitude to be able to pull these forward. So I've kind of got this arch deal going on. And I know that seems like a small thing, but I really like it. So I just thought I would tell you about that. And this is not plastic, it is metal. Some of the parts down in here are plastic. I don't mind the part that goes way down in the drain being, I'm afraid to pull it out, it might be gross. I don't mind that being plastic, but I do not want this to be plastic. So at any rate, that is the Dryden by Delta. And I am now going to take you into one of the other bathrooms. Okay, I'm in my powder room. This is another Delta faucet. This is a Cassidy and it's single hole installation. I really like this. I have this in all my children's bathrooms because it's so much easier to clean around, and I really like the fact that you can adjust the water temperature with one hand. With my bathroom, I have the 2 separate handles, so if I want warm water, I have to turn on the hot and the cold, and I have to have both hands for that. So, you know, if I'm trying to like hold my hair back behind my head and use my other hand to splash my face off with, I can't do that. And I know that seems like it's not a big deal, but it does annoy me some. I will say that. I don't think that this one, so these kind of typically don't have a pull up on them for the drain. I think you just push them down. I don't know. I never actually used the drain on this one. This is an open well. So when they don't have the top on them and you can see the water coming out of them, that's called an open well. We have really hard water here, so I have hard water stains, and they're actually worse right now than they usually are because we just have been washing our hands so much with this epidemic. But I'm having a hard time with this, getting this off. I've tried a lot of products and I'm not having a lot of luck. But I do think it's a pretty faucet. This is the only oil rubbed bronze one that I have in my entire house, just because I do like the chrome so much. And bonus, the chrome is a lot cheaper. It just didn't go in this powder room, and it was just the one faucet, so I thought it would be fine to do the bronze, but in all my other bathrooms they are chrome. So now I'm going to take you to one of my daughter's bathrooms to see hers. This is the Delta Cassidy line also. It's just like the one I just showed you, except that it doesn't have the open well, and I'm just much happier with this because I don't have to look at those hard water stains. But again, it's super easy to clean around. You can adjust the water temperature with one hand, and again, the chrome, for me, it's hard to beat. It's so shiny and so pretty and easy to take care of, despite what a lot of people out there think. Okay, so now I'm going to take you on a tour of my shower. I think that's the best way for me to explain to you what all the components are and how they work and how I make my choices. The first thing I want you to see is my bathroom vanity faucet. So I showed you that earlier, and it's a Dryden. So I want you to look at it, and then I want you to look at my shower head and my diverter and see if you notice anything. So they're all chrome, so you don't notice it right off, but they are not from the same line. The faucet is a Dryden, and the shower head and the control valve and the diverter and all that are Cassidy line. I did that because I don't like the Dryden. They're real square and chunky, and they just didn't have the look that I want. So let me show you mine. So first of all, I have this gooseneck arm with a rain can shower head on it. I really like this. It puts out water that's not super soft or super like hard and jetty, but it is enough that it will rinse your hair good. On this side of my shower, I have a handheld. I use that mainly to wash my shower down with, but it is set up that 2 people could take a shower in here at one time, or if you wanted to wash your pet in here and pull that down and be able to rinse them, it's very handy for that. So let me explain to you. So this is a control valve, and this turns the water on and off. This big handle turns the water on and off, and then this controls the temperature of your water. This is called a diverter valve, and this is what controls the handheld. So it has 3 functions on it. You can run both the handheld, oh, there's some water coming out, and the shower head, or you can just run that by itself. So there are different options that you can use with it. I highly recommend having a handheld in your shower. If you can't afford to have one separate like this, if your budget's too tight, then get one that's in the middle of the shower head that pulls down. When you go to wash your shower or to wash a pet or anything like that, they're life. Like nothing else. The alternative is taking a cup and filling it and dumping it out. Don't do that. Just take my word for it. I've lived in too many houses that had showers like that, and I do not recommend them. You have to know before you ever start putting, okay, so you demo your bathroom and then the plumber comes to do the rough end. The rough end is all the plumbing that's behind this wall that you cannot see. When he comes to do that, he has to know exactly what these faucets are going to be so that you be sure that you use the right rough end valves behind the wall. Rough end valves are brand specific. So if you buy Delta, you have to have a Delta rough end valve. But there are multiple rough end valves, so you have to know. I recommend that you buy your faucets before you ever even start demo. You need all that on hand, or else you're going to have delays and expensive cost, and it's going to get to be frustrating. But they have panels now where instead of these being 2 separate ones, they are on one together, and they are a much sleeker, cleaner look, but they require a different rough end valve. Just this requires a different rough end valve than, like, for instance, my girls' showers, because they have a tub shower combo and they don't have the handheld. So they don't even have this. They just have this function. So there's just a lot of different things. And I hope by showing you this, I've illustrated that you need to know what your final game is before you even start. Okay, so I hope that by taking you on a tour of my own personal shower that I kind of got you aware of what you need to know. However, you do have to understand my shower probably by some people's standards is a little bit basic. You can get rain heads that come directly out of the ceiling. I have installed several of those. I'm not a huge fan of those just because, especially if you have an attic, you're running your pipe in an unconditioned space, so it could get really cold up there and it could freeze. However, when I've done them, I always put them right on top of the right on top of the drywall. So if this is a drywall, the plumbing pipe is right on top of it. And when we build a house, or if we are remodeling something like that, I'll put like 12 or 14 inches of insulation over it, which is quite a bit, but still, it's still a possibility that could happen. And we use PEX supply lines, and PEX is like a plastic, but it can really swell before it bursts. And but I would not do copper, because copper swells the least. If it freezes and swells the least little bit, copper gets a split in it. So the PEX is a really good product if you're going to talk to a plumber about what they're going to use behind the wall, and I called that a rough end. Remember, that's the rough end, that's the right lingo. Be sure and ask if they're going to use PEX supply lines. So just know that there are other things that you can get. You can get body sprays. I think body jets maybe is what they call them. I had those in a couple of houses ago, and I actually really did like them, but I didn't use them all that often, and I just decided not to do it this time. But if you go to a plumbing supply house and you have a good size budget and you know you want some of those details, they can help you. Where if you try to go to a big box store, you're not going to get that kind of help that's going to really be able to dive in and help you figure out what you want and what would be best for your situation. Tub faucets is another area that could be super lengthy, but let me just say this. Before you start shopping for your tub faucet, you have to know what kind of tub you're going to have. Are you going to have a freestanding? Are you going to have a drop-in? Are you going to have an alcove tub? I mean, there's just a lot of different kinds. And the faucet cost can vary wildly on those. So, like in my daughter's bathrooms, I think it's real typical. It's just a tub that sits in between 3 walls. We've tiled the walls off of it. They have a shower head and they have the tub filler, which is the spout that goes into it where the water fills the tub. Those are the most common, and you get a faucet that goes on the wall for that, and that is the least expensive kind. It's integrated with your shower. It's all one thing. So that is the least costly way to go about it. Probably the next least costly thing may be a drop-in tub. So in a master bathroom, we did a lot of these back about 10 years ago, and there's a case for them. I like them. So they are the kind where there's kind of a platform built and the tub sits in it. And then you have what's called a Roman faucet that just sits on that platform and fills your tub. I sometimes can use those with, let me think about this, with a freestanding tub if I do a little framing work first. So for example, and I'll have to dig out a picture of this to put in the blog, but I did my cousin's bathroom not long ago and she wanted a freestanding tub. I did not want to do a tub filler for her. So those are the ones that mount on the floor and come up, and they are very expensive. Like that is probably the most expensive way to do a tub, to get the freestanding one and then have that tub filler. Whew, they are precious. I mean, they're a couple of grand. I'm not kidding. So I didn't want to do that for Jennifer's because she had limited space. So not only was it going to be expensive, but it was going to be hard to clean around. So I built a platform. So there was a wall behind her bathtub and I just built a little wall in front of it, a little short wall that came up to the height of the tub, and I put my Roman faucet on it. And that has worked out really well, and that is a good way to save money. There's just a lot of options there. So like I said, before you can ever demo, you have to know what you're going to put in because it affects your framing. It affects your plumbing rough end. There's just so much. You have to do all this homework up front before you ever start. So let me try to wrap this whole thing up. So we talked about vanity faucets. My big win there is a single hole faucet with where you can adjust the water temperature with one hand. Chrome, I love Chrome. Delta, I love Delta. And local plumbing supply houses is where you need to buy your things. And you need to do them all. You need to pick all of this out before you ever start that first bit of demo. So I hope you found this helpful. And if there's anything you'd like to know, or you have any comments, or if there's something you don't agree with me on, drop me a line and let me know. I would really appreciate it.